what makes watershed development approach an integrated approach? So first point here is that it has an element of ecological integration. What do I mean by ecological integration? It integrates all the elements of the ecosystems. So abiotic, biotic, forestry, forest issues. It integrates water issues. It integrates the landscapes. Okay, it integrates different type of mountains and plains. So there is an ecological integration in the watershed approach. One. Number two, the integration includes integrating the local concerns, integrating agriculture and tribal concerns with the development and the ecological components को आप सब concerns को आप integrate कर रहे हो. और ये बहुत important है. In fact, one of you wrote a message to me कि sir, if you talk about farmers and tribes and agriculture, villages, then how will we have development? ये बहुत बड़ा question है. Sir, if you look after the tribal rights, then how can we do mining? If you look at agriculture issues, how can we ever acquire land for agriculture? The answer from me is, it depends on how you define development. The development is GDP size. The development is the industries. The development is the economic output in terms of some sectors. And you don't see development as having meaning for the local population. तो आपने डेवलपमेंट ही अलग डिफाइन कर रखा है. डेवलपमेंट इज नॉट अ स्टेट. रिमेंबर दिस. When I say state, I mean development is not a thing. Development, yes, development is a condition and a process. And the development must mean something for the people. But development का मैं क्या करूंगा? If development is equal to thing called as industry, while people don't have jobs. The development is equal to thing called as roads, okay, where some population has lost its land and not compensated. What will I do with development is a thing called as a car, okay, when the people have health problems. So appreciate this. The development is a condition, it's a process, and it must mean something for the people. And who are the people? The people who live there. In India, if I'm looking at the people, that is 70% and more population are tribes, villages, farmers. So how can you divorce the concept of development from them? Then the question was, sir, if we look at their concerns, फिर तुम land acquire नहीं कर पाएंगे. If I look at those concerns, how will I acquire maybe forest areas? My answer here is, देखो, for the farmers, and for the tribal population, for the local population, the land and the forests, they mean something. और ऐसा नहीं है कि land does not mean anything to us also. They have some idea about land. And they hang on to the land and forest. Why? It's not that it's a divine pleasure types. A very big reason is livelihood. A very big reason is it's a cultural thing. ऐसा नहीं है, the farmer will not give you the land. The farmer is not willing to give you the land for the price that you quote. The farmer is not willing to give you the land for the alternative, say rehabilitation that you are giving him. Which means, ये land का कुछ एक price है. Price in terms of monetary है. Price in terms of culture है. Price in terms of some security है. So it is the duty of the government कि अगर land चाहिए, they have to be properly compensated. So problem is not the farmer will not give the land. The problem is the farmer does not see the compensation as adequate. मेरे पास, I have a pen, I have a phone with me, and I value the phone in some ways. In terms of the money I've spent to buy this, in terms of data it has, in terms of maybe what does it make me feel good about. I'm using a good phone and it feels nice. So if you want my phone, then you have to compensate me. Say, compensate me with the money I've spent on this. Make sure I have got all the data and make sure you enable me कि ये phone दिया तो मैं कुछ और खरीद पाऊं, which also give me that kind of comfort and pride. अब ये assure नहीं करके you take up my phone. That's a absolutely big case of injustice. So when we talk about we need land, we need the forests, we need the water, fine. दो considerations हैं. You need it for some activity. Will this activity impact ecology or not? Second is, you need the land for some economic reasons. Can you make the stakeholders share the economic benefit or not? मेरा एक land है. I know the market rate of this land is 1 lakh rupees. You will compensate me according to circle rate, which is probably 20,000 rupees. And you'll give the land to somebody who will make a building, and you'll give the land free of cost at nominal price. वो कुछ बनाएगा building and you'll sell each floor for 1 crore. तो मुझे दिक्कत होगी ना उसमें. Okay, then of course I will have a problem there. Then my land in the market I could have sold for 1 lakh. I lost my, oh, that house is on the highway line, break that house. Oh, that forest is stopping a dam. Okay, that's okay to take that forest. What if my house was there? Would you say the same thing again? आपका घर जहां खड़ा हुआ है, okay, say government says I'll make a road right through your house. So evacuate there. I said, fine, I can give my land, but make sure I get a compensation because my land is worth something. So this environment versus development versus rights versus ecology, ये जो debate है, ये actually unnecessary debate है. Every person wants development, every person wants growth, but the person who owns a resource does not see he being compensated for whatever agenda that you have. So let this problem be understood. I said, no, there are two ways of looking at any problems. You can look at the problem from the perspective of those who are the government, those who are the beneficiaries, those who are part of the process. And you can look at the problem from the perspective of those who are losing something. This is what is called as the subaltern perspective of development. Look at geography from the perspective of women who have suffered. Look at geography from the perspective of the colonies who have suffered. Look at development from the perspective of the poor who have suffered. Not looking at development from the perspective of the capitalist alone, from the perspective of the governments alone. That's a view that you have. So your issue is not wrong, but we say that the whole idea of Watershed is that we look at development from the perspective of the farmers, the tribal population, the local population, who definitely have a primacy on that area because they have been dependent on that area for long. So the concept of watershed development integrates the concerns of the local population, the concerns of the agriculturists, the farmers, the tribals, as a part of the larger development, as a part of the larger ecological consequences. And I famously remember one sentence, a beautiful sentence. It says, I think I may have told this to you sometime, conservation and development on their own cannot be the objective of the process. Conservation and development must mean something for the population who depend on the local resources and those who have traditionally owned the resources. Okay, so conservation and development cannot be an end in itself. Conservation and development on their own cannot be the objective of any development process. It cannot be an end in itself. Conservation and development must mean something for the populations who depend on the local resources and the population who traditionally have owned the resources. What I mean by this is, just conserving soil is not enough. Just conserving the forest is not enough. Just ensuring that the water is clean is not enough. Good soil must convert into agriculture benefits for the farmers cultivating. Good forests must translate into tribal development for the tribes who depend on the forest. So आपने conservation कर दिया, soil is very clean and fertile, but populations can't cultivate. Water is lovely, clean, not polluted, but the local population can't drink the water. Development is wonderful. GDP doing this, that, exports, growth. Local population has hunger, malnutrition, loss of jobs. So conservation ho ya development ho, it must mean something for the population who depend on the local resource and those who have traditionally owned the resource. जैसे कि आपके case example in your case will be just geography knowledge given to you is of no consequence. The geography knowledge should convert into the marks that you are aspiring. Then your education makes sense. Okay, मैं सब कुछ पढ़ा दिया और आपके मार्क्स ही नहीं आ रहे हैं. आपने सब कुछ पढ़ लिया, but you don't qualify. Then that effort you can't evaluate in terms of relevance. Okay, so appreciate this. The watershed development ensures that the local population, the agriculturists, the tribal population, and their development ecological concerns are properly acknowledged. It is integrative because it integrates the upslope ecology with the downstream ecosystems and economic activities. It integrates the upslope ecology, mountains and forests, the river systems in the hills. The upslope ecology is integrated with the downstream ecosystems and the downstream economic activities. That's why it's integrating. It is integrating because it integrates possibilities of industrial and non-agricultural development with agricultural economy. It integrates industrial development, it integrates non-agricultural development with the agriculture economy. Please do not see that watershed development is only about farming. Watershed development says, आप industry लगाओ, but ऐसा industry लगाओ which can support the local agriculture economy. So industry लगाना है तो rice mill, maybe sugar mills, cotton ginning centers maybe, or cotton weaving centers maybe dairy farms and the dairy industries maybe. Link the industries with the dominant agriculture activities. और अगर non-agriculture करना भी है beyond agriculture, fine, then road construction that is relevant for the economy. Let's have irrigation construction relevant for the economy. Let's talk about skills where it can ultimately be used for the local ecology. So this concept is not dismissing industrial development. और जहां पर एग्रीकल्चर प्रोस्पेक्ट्स कम है वहां बनाओ इंडस्ट्रीज. हु सेज नो? इफ यू मस्ट मेक एन इंडस्ट्रियल प्लांट, ठीक है. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट पार्ट्स ऑफ चंबल बैडलैंड्स. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द इंटीरियर्स ऑफ राजस्थान. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इंडस्ट्रीज इन पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लेटो इंटीरियर्स जहां पर एग्रीकल्चर के प्रोस्पेक्ट्स बहुत लिमिटेड है. इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट of Chotanagpur Plateau is a good idea because Chotanagpur Plateau does not have too much of agriculture resource. The problem was we did not account for the local population at all. So please do not see watershed as dismissive of industrial development. It says industries, but industries have to be locally relevant. This is what we have meant by integration, the functional linkages of the region. So agriculture hai, let us have fertilizer industries. If there is agriculture, let's talk about power generation that can benefit the agriculture economy. If you have agriculture, let's talk about agriculture branding. Okay, maybe exports if required. So a fundamental idea of watershed development is that it integrates agriculture-based development for India's economic landscape. Which otherwise, remember, the consensus was agriculture is the reason for backwardness. The agriculture has to transform into industries for development. These guys say, no. Agriculture can't be reason for backwardness. Agriculture can be the driver. ये अलग बात है. Agriculture alone will not help. There's no dichotomy of agriculture versus industries. हमें दोनों चाहिए. There's no dichotomy of rural versus the urban. We need both. The watershed approach does that. And very importantly, the next one is watershed development approach integrates traditional wisdom of resource management and resource conservation. Traditional wisdom or traditional practices in resource conservation and resource management as a part of modern scientific interventions. The best example of this is reviving water harvesting practices, reviving mixed agriculture and crop rotation practices, encouraging cottage industries and traditional skill-based industries. To give an example to all of you, remember Green Revolution? Yeah, some of you have heard about it, if not studied. In Green Revolution, what was the main strategy? The strategy was whatever is traditional is inefficient, whatever is traditional is unscientific, replace that by modern science, which is canal irrigation, tubewell irrigation, hybrid seeds, fertilizers, chemical, pesticides, chemical. So, jo traditional hai, that is not effective, that is backward. Replace that by modern seeds. Replace that by modern irrigation systems. Replace that by modern chemical fertilizers. Organic farming, rainwater harvesting, the local genetic base. You are replacing that by a modern one. Now we say, aisa nahi, zarurat nahi hai. We need to have a balance. Lot of traditional things are also scientific. Acha, by the way, let me be again careful here. When I say traditional practices can be incorporated, this does not mean that all traditional practices are scientific. Remember this. We tend to swing tradition and modernity. Either you are here or you are completely here. What we are saying is, modern science is good, but you need to add wherever possible the traditional methods. So don't say that because Sir has said traditional is good, so modern is bad. The example is yoga. Yoga is here. Modern medicine is somewhere here. So yoga is important, use it, but where it's required, where it's appropriate. Somebody dying of a heart attack, had an epileptic fit, probably has a seizure, stroke, usko bola ki nahi, nahi, breathing karo, पैर उठा लो, पेट अंदर कर लो. It doesn't work like that. Okay, a major kidney transplant required. No, morning walk karte hain, chalo. That's stupidity. Sugar level 300 plus. Okay, and you're talking about, let us take only natural honey. Appropriateness. It's great, wonderful. It's a very nice preventer of problems. But when you have an issue, deal with what you can do there. So, traditional methods are not all scientific, but there are a lot of wisdom in tradition. Let us not ignore that. That's how we say, Dekho, I think Sri Lanka is a good example for us. Sri Lanka in agriculture went the nationalism way, right? Ekdam extreme. No fertilizers, no chemicals. And they collapsed. So, India mein bhi kuch narrative hai ki everything organic is great. Okay, Baba ji sab mein green laga ke chipka ke bech rahe hain aapko. If you look at the ingredients, they are probably as bad or as good as any other chemical products. You cannot have an agriculture where the chemical fertilizers are completely replaced by organic systems. That will be very dangerous. The organic systems cannot have the type of productivity we need. Hame chahiye annually more than 450 million tons of food grains to manage our hunger by 2030. This type of productivity possible nahi hai only by organic farming. Okay? You have to have a balance. In some places, where possible, let's go organic. But a lot of other areas, you need chemical fertilizers also. The problem with us is not the chemical fertilizer. The problem is overuse of chemical fertilizers. It's like, I'm not well, I'm taking sleeping pills. That's perfectly fine. And I was advised that. I was prescribed that. But if I take sleeping pills because it's an addiction, wo problem hamara hai. So please do not dismiss all modern science in watershed management. Modern science, modern techniques, plus it integrates lot of traditional practices, in particular water harvesting systems, in particular crop rotation practices. This is how watershed development is an integrative concept. And importantly, last point in this list of why integrative is, that watershed development has local relevance, and therefore the concept is valid for all geographical locations of the country. You go to any state, any district, some element of watershed can be applied. You go to any geography, any type of landscape, looking at the local conditions, you can apply a watershed. So watershed that way is relevant for the entire country. Yes, even urban areas. Urban areas also need water management, horticulture. Urban area also need to be sustainable in some amount of agriculture production. Like urban area needs waste management. So watershed is also applicable for urban, hydrological issues. So this topic I think we have done.